If I asked you to think of a £100,000 mid-engined, rear-wheel drive, carbon fibre bodied, gull-wing doored car, I bet you wouldn't think of a Volkswagen. That's exactly what the XL1 is.
Feeling alright. I got nothing to hide, but I know you're searching for a reason, but you only come out at night.
Do you ever have the feeling that progress has halted and society is slipping into reverse? Think of the moment Concorde was retired and we had to settle for slower, subsonic transatlantic travel, or the retreat from moonwalks and the restrictions imposed upon us Brits by Brexit.
This car suggests that automotive ingenuity has also stalled. It's Volkswagen's XL1 from 2013. And it sets something of a high watermark for fuel efficiency, delivering over 300 miles per gallon, a figure that's not been surpassed by a production car since. Only 250 were made, and it's really quite special. Let's come and find out why.
It's an incredibly rare sight on our roads. Licensing data suggests only 10 are taxed in the UK, so it's something of a unicorn, and for good reason.
The spec of the XL1 is highly exotic. It's more like a supercar than a Volkswagen, really. It's built around a composite tub. The bodywork is carbon fibre, reinforced plastic. The wheels are made of magnesium. And look at the shape of it. Classical teardrop shape for massive aero benefits. Rear wheels are fared in. The windows are made of plastic. It's really quite a thing. And it weighs just 795 kilograms, which is very light. That's like a Lotus Elise. It's tiny. 3.9 metres long, means it's shorter than many super minis, and it's as low as a supercar. The spec of this thing really is something else.
And the exquisite engineering doesn't stop there. Scissor doors rise to reveal a diminutive cabin with 2 offset seats, echoing more exotic machinery like the legendary McLaren F1. It's pretty easy to climb in, as a section of the roof rises with the door to make for a large aperture.
It's very comfy in here. You sit very low to the ground, and there's plenty of details that are very familiar to owners of Volkswagens. The key and the climate controls are from the up, actually. But there's a pleasing lack of complication, as you might expect from a car launched a decade ago. There's no big infotainment up here, just a little Garmin multimedia screen that controls the few luxuries on board. And of course, there's no view out of here whatsoever. And that's because there's a little surprise lurking further back. This is not your average Volkswagen. And one of the key reasons for that lies under here. Look, slung amidships, we have a 2-cylinder, 800cc diesel engine. It's essentially half of Volkswagen's 1.6 TDI that you might normally find in a Golf or a Polo from this era.
You see, the XL1 was the brainchild of Volkswagen engineering pioneer Ferdinand Piëch, the man also responsible for the Bugatti Veyron and the original Audi Quattro. The project was born from his vision for a 1-litre car. That's a vehicle that would require just a litre of fuel to drive 100 kilometres, or the equivalent of 282 miles per gallon.
It's why the XL1 has these stubby little door cameras here instead of mirrors. The side glass, made from polycarbonate, saves 3 kilograms apparently. And these front tyres are just hilarious. They're so skinny. They're 115 section, 80 profile. I think my mountain bike has bigger tyres than this. So this car, which looks like a concept car that's escaped from the motor show and got onto the open road, is all about aerodynamic efficiency. The drag coefficient is 0.189, which is staggeringly low. And what it means, says Volkswagen, is that it requires 53% less energy to drive along at 60 miles an hour than a conventional car. That's why it's so efficient. So come on, let's come and see it in action. Let's go.
For such an exotically engineered car, it's pleasingly easy to drive a Volkswagen XL1. You simply strap into these comfy, lightweight bucket seats, press the start button, select drive and pull away.
The XL1 is one of the first production plug-in hybrid cars made by Volkswagen, and it's capable of some pretty extraordinary feats of fuel economy. Volkswagen says 313 miles per gallon on the combined cycle. Now that is the old-fashioned measure, the pre-WLTP, but I don't care, it's still amazing. I mean, right now we're driving in the middle of winter and I am averaging 155 mpg. 155 miles for every gallon. It's on another level, it really is. And even when the battery, which is very small, 5.5 kilowatt hours, is pretty tiny by today's measures for a plug-in hybrid, and certainly by the standards of a modern battery electric vehicle. But even then, it just flips to acting like a diesel hybrid. And we've seen around 80 mpg even then. So it really is on another level. And the best thing is it kind of gamifies the situation. I find myself wanting to eke out every last mile of range. You know, we're now 159 mpg. It just makes me want to drive even more gently, easing off. When I do back off, the engine kicks out, we coast along. You can really feel the aerodynamic efficiency. We're cleaving the air with very minimal resistance, and it just makes us kind of go even further on every drop of fuel. And that's important because the fuel tank in the XL1 is tiny. It's only 10 litres, so it's very cheap to fill up. I mean, we've had the car for a week and it's only half full. I've used 5 litres of petrol. I've been driving it every day this week. I mean, that is mind scrambling. It's on another level, this car. Such a clever achievement.
The sophisticated construction of the XL1 is matched by a high-tech driving experience. It's so different to any other mid-engine car I've ever driven. But this car is absolutely not fast. 0 to 62 takes 12.7 seconds, and top speed is capped at 99 miles an hour. The tiny 2-cylinder TDI develops just 47 brake horsepower, and the electric motor adds a further 27 bhp, but that's fine. It can keep up with traffic, and the car cleverly juggles combustion and electric power neatly in the background, although it has to be said, the 2-pot diesel is really quite clattery and very vocal when it wakes from its slumber.
The XL1 is a really special car to drive. We've seen the extraordinary, exotic construction methods that have built this car, and it really pays off once you get behind the wheel. It's so lightweight with all that composite construction, the engine in the middle. It's very agile, actually. The steering feel is wonderful. It's unassisted because it doesn't need it. It weighs less than 800 kilograms. When's the last time you talked about steering feel in a Volkswagen? So special. And the wheel is bereft of any buttons or haptic sliders or switchgear. It's a blast from the past and really, really good fun. It's amazing you can have efficiency and fun together. I'm so impressed. The brakes are quite graunchy. It's got ceramic discs, which save weight, clearly, but it means that you just end up not using them as much. You try and coast and use the regenerative braking, which is a really positive thing. It means you go further. I mean, look, I'm doing 195 mpg around town. I can't believe it. That just blows my mind. It really does.
You've got to trust the rear view cameras, as you can't see a thing over your shoulder. It can be a little daunting at first, but the XL1 is so small and responsive that you soon find yourself nipping about with confidence and quickly forget that 6-figure price tag. It's fascinating to track the influence of the XL1 on today's lineup of electric Volkswagens. My daily driver is the ID.7, and you can see the aerodynamic learnings from the experimental production car really have led to its super slippery shape, even if the more outrageous details and exotic construction have been diluted in the decades since.
I find it tremendously reassuring that one of the world's biggest car makers had the balls to put the XL1 into production over a decade ago. And really that took someone with a sort of vision of Ferdinand PX to do. Even now, today in 2025, no car can match the XL1's extreme efficiency, but its legacy lives on. And I think that's really couldn't be more important in an age when energy consumption and thinking of the environment couldn't be more important.